All right. Hello and good morning, everyone. Good to see you here. Paul training with a fancy cardigan on. I'm nice and warm here in beautiful Colorado. And yeah, let me know how you guys are doing wherever you are. It's morning for me. Looks like it's 6:59 p.m. Where Tanash lives. Awesome. Cool. Well, your Friday night has begun, so lucky you. Well, welcome to the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. We're going to work on building brushes. You might know how to make them, but I hopefully will show you some fun tips and tricks that I personally enjoy. So hopefully you're into it. Yeah, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, Cindy, hopefully you're keeping warm as well in London. Awesome. Michelle, good to have you here too. Cool. Let's dive into this, folks. And if you are joining me for the first time, keep in mind that, and actually let me see, it looks like we have people over on Periscope and elsewhere. Carol, I see you over there. Join me over at behance.net/Adobe Live would be awesome, because that's where we're hanging out and that's kind of where I'm reading chat. So I don't want you to feel like you're being ignored is all. All right, just changing the resolution. Sometimes things get disconnected and the resolution gets a little low, but now here we are. Cool. Here's the starter asset, and this is why I say to go to behance.net/Adobe Live. This is where you'll find a link to the Creative Challenge. Right, the past ones are here. I can paste that link in for you just so you have them, and we're gonna make some brushes. And I've given you some brushes already, so right down here. Guess what? You're watching the video right now, and you can get started right here. So you will access these two files that are gonna load up in a second, right? But they're also, if you're a member of, or if you're joining us on Discord, it's right under here under Creative Challenge. So we're gonna build out some brushes, make some fun vines, leaves, trees, clouds, make it cool. It's all about growth and metamorphosis, if you will, kind of changing. I think we're all in our little cocoons right now, and you're going to learn some new tips and tricks that when you emerge in 2021 as a beautiful butterfly or whatever, you know, I just want you to be proud of your progress wherever it may start or end up. All right, so here's a number of layers in here, by the way. So I can kind of talk about why some of these are the way they are. You have some that are color and some that are black and white and some that are oriented different ways. Okay, so we just kind of be mindful of that. But I can kind of talk through it. In fact, let's just do this right now if we can. Let's get this party started. Let's go right in here. Let's first off, take a... any graphic, as long as it's a pixel-based layer, okay, so that means it can't be like a shape-based layer like this guy, right? It's pixel-based. You draw a box around it like so. That's typically what I do. Ooh, not that. You just basically select it is what you're doing. Selecting that bug, we'll go to Edit, and then right down here, we're going to define that brush preset. Okay. Yes, we bridge the chrysalysis. You fancy, Mike. I love it. A mediocre moth is acceptable. Because think about it. You'll have wings. You went from just being... Actually, for moths, you were just a little larva in grass. And now you have these awesome wings. That's 1,000% improvement, I would think. We'll just call this bug. Bug out. Why not? Because I want to make sure I've not used up that name. And what happens is it makes a brush. So let's go add a new layer. Go to the, we have brushes panel right here. And then we're going to have our brush settings as well. So let's just open up those two panels and get it squared away a little bit, shall we? Zoop. Come on, Paul. Get it. Ugh. Grab that corner. Yeah, this is the hardest thing you'll have to do today, is get your panels organized. So you can see right down here, you can see a number of brushes that I already have. So I went ahead, did I make that one? Here's the one that I made, and then a bunch that are in here. Let's actually delete that brush, because that's the one I was working on earlier. Here's the brush that I just made. It's called Bug Out, right? It gives me the size. So these were the pixels, the bounding box, what I kind of drew around it. Actually, no, it's the actual pixels there, not the bounding box I drew. But that's the size. So just kind of be aware of the size because it's going to vary. I downloaded some crack brushes. That sounds ridiculous. I downloaded some crack the other day, some cracks, some crack brushes. I downloaded crack brushes from Brush Easy, B-R-U-S-E-Z-Y, E-Z-Z-Y, I'm not sure. But Brush Easy has lots of brushes. Also, if you want brushes, go right here, boom. I don't know, you want to get more? From the flyout menu, get more brushes, boom, bam. Open up right here. Most of these are by everybody's best friend, Kyle T. Webster. He's just the man. I think everybody appreciates him. But check out some of these. These are ones he's made. A lot of them are for drawing. I'm kind of using them more as like stamps, for instance. But take a look at all these. These manga brushes are awesome, right? So you have that sort of half-tone pattern, which is cool. But go through all these. Concept brushes is, I think, one I've also downloaded as well. So it gives you rocks, birds, clouds, all that stuff that you need is in your concept brushes, right? So you can see them right here. I've already downloaded them, and there's the concept brushes, right? Boom. All right, so back to our brush that we made. It's called Bug Out, right? We can click and we can start to see how that looks. Yours might be different from mine. My flow was really low, but here it is. This is what happens. Here's your brush. Doesn't do me that much good because it doesn't look like a bug is going to be, say, climbing on this text, for instance. What if I want this text to, be made up of these bugs is the goal, right? Because that's what I want to do, right? So with this selected, here's the brush, but I want to get to the settings for this brush. So go to Window, we'll get onto Brush Settings, and we'll open up our lovely brush settings. Here they are. Bam, right there. And from there, we can start playing with this. In fact, let's just, I guess, nest this off to the side. It might be easier to work with. Okay, so we have right down here at the very bottom of the brush settings, we have the spacing. So if we stretch that out, we can see that we finally see those bugs. It's like, oh, that is cool. That's kind of more along the lines of what I want. Brrr, right, just like that. Okay. Happy Friday, everyone. Andreas? Am I pronouncing your name right? That's a cool name. Omar, good to have you. Hussein as well. Okay, so what's the problem with this? Is I want this text, I want these like bugs to kind of like marching up this text. It's not quite doing it. They're all facing the same direction, right? Even though they're spaced out. Well, let's go into the shape dynamics, which is this very first category, shape dynamics. What do we want to do? We want to control the angle. So we can see the angle is right here. And we want to change that angle to direction. Not initial direction, but we want to change that to direction. I'll pause right here so everybody can see this, because I think this is a pretty important screen as I drink some coffee and say hello. You be bugging. Oh, there you go. So Sig, that's a great idea. It's like, I don't care where you got your brushes, but you're right. Like if it's an image, if you could see it on your screen, you can turn it into, you could turn that into a brush. Okay. This is very much my dad's sweater. This is Colorado Life sweater is what this is. All right. So direction, that's what we've changed it to. Let's go back over here. What do we want to do? Have it march up, up, up. Have them go down, dot, dot, dot. Right. We get the idea. Da, 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 da. You will have to add your own sound effects, but that's what's going on right now. Let's put one right there. Boom. Boom. Look at the accuracy right there. Isn't that cool? I'm just playing around right now. Hope you don't mind. Why did I include so much text? I don't know. I thought it would be a good idea. Okay, but let's go around this circle, which is why I'm glad I have this O. And we can watch the direction kind of flow around it. And if I was smart, I'd want to mix up some of these bugs with other bugs. Okay. Yeah, Bryce, that's a good question. Can you mimic the pressure shape dynamic offered via tablet pin? Not easily, just to be honest with you. That's why they sell, you know? That's why they sell. But let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to make this new brush preset, and this is going to be called bug out, you know, directional. And when I save this, I'm just saving this with all of its brush size, include the tool settings, so it includes all those modifications that it currently has set up, and I can also include the color. But of course I don't want to. Click OK. What do we have in our brushes panel? We now have bug out and then bug out directional, or with all the settings. Yeah, I agree, Bryce. Man, I must say, I need a tablet as well, you know? Here's something that kind of brings that to mind, because you do want to potentially vary the sort of the size. Let's go to some of these. Let's go to this. Let's go to this one right here, maybe. Maybe this little guy. Who knows? Let's just take him. We'll make it this easy. We'll select him. We'll define him as a brush, right? Little bug. Like that. We'll do something different with this one. Might be somewhat similar in some cases, because I do want to still go to the brush tip shape, and I really need to pull this out so everybody can see it. Brush tip shape, and then I still want to space it out like so, right? I want the shape dynamics to maybe, it could still follow, go the direction if you want it to. But what I really want to do is I want to get into scattering. So here I want to scatter this out on both axes. I want to adjust maybe the count, but also the size. So here's the size jitter. So we want these all to be different size. And actually, you know what? We want the angle jitter to be all sorts of different ways. I think that's going to be more fun, right? And let's control the size by dragging this clear to 100%. So you can have some that are maybe as small as, I guess, 1%, as large as 150%, which I think is the size of this around there. So now we have something that kind of has this scattered look, which might be okay in this situation. Again, I can save this. Little bug. Little bugs everywhere. There we go. We have it. And now we can go ahead and make sure our layers panel is set up like so. All right. Let's make it much smaller. Like that. And now we have just a couple different ways to work with these brushes. Again, I work with them different ways. Like June bugs in April in Texas. Ugh. Are they just everywhere? Do you also have an issue with, like the migration of cockroaches that I'll or not cockroaches, of, tarantulas? Tarantulas as well? I'm just kind of curious about that. All right. So I'm going to get these be a little bit more sparse. Let's actually delete this E. Okay. Deselect. B for brush, right? Let's kind of just replace that one like so, right? Hopefully you guys are catching a vision for this and what we can do. Let's change this up a little bit. I personally like the black and white, but let's just say we want to add leaves, and we want these leaves to be like different colors that are like everywhere around. So let me just kind of finish this out. Bear with me. Again, I know I'm supposed to be teaching you, and now I'm working on artwork. But hey, we have time. Vary the size, crank it up again like so. Okay. Check this out. Are you ready for this? Are you ready, Ron? Oh, man. Okay, so I'm like, ooh, that's pretty cool what you just did there, Paul. Like, I would like to do that same scatteriness, but with this original bug. Like, that's what I want to do. All these new settings for these little bugs everywhere, I want to do it with this other bug. Well, you can do that. Go to your brush settings. Here's the brush. And you'll love this right in here. It looks like I already had one locked down. But since I modified the shape dynamics and the scattering, you just lock that down and those settings will stay. So shape dynamics and scattering will stay. right? Even though I select this initial, like even this bug, for instance, I'll click and you can see it gives me those settings, but it uses the new brush. So now I have that scatter look as we go around, okay? That's a reminder for Masterclass. It's gonna be starting in 15 minutes. I'm gonna dive into some 2D to 3D and getting those situations to kind of match up. But I think that's awesome. Use that lock, you'll lock in those settings. Okay, so like I said, I wanna add a little bit more. I wanna add even some color to things that don't have color. Let's just grab, hurry, Paul, hurry. I wanna do so much. Let's just do this. You're gonna see me go fast because we already have done this a couple times. Boom, boom. Actually, no, forget that. I gave you brushes. You already have brushes, which is awesome, right? So what happens is you'll go online, you'll download an ABR, go to this flyout menu and import brushes, right? Selecting import brushes. Go to those brushes that I've given you, which is this Paul Trenny ABR. Open that up. And sure enough, right down here, you can see all these lovely little brushes that have been created. We have clouds, we have flowers, we have butterflies, we have leaves, we have bugs, we have the branch that I was just about to make. Let's take a look at that branch, by the way. Turn these on again. Maybe turn that off for fun. And let's take a look at this, and let's actually change the color as well. And oh, that's currently my branch. I like my leaves better. So these leaves are kind of fun. Da, 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 da. Right? It's using that color, it's scattering them, it's doing what we expected it to do. But I want to modify this some more, okay? So this is what you get when you get a color. We know leaves aren't like this. Leaves are different colors. So let's have it bounce between two colors. Let's take this to a brown, and then we have like our green. That's kind of like over here, right? It's kind of a washed out green. Okay, so currently as the washed out green, we'll go into brush settings. We'll go into color dynamics. So color dynamics, bounce between the foreground and background, right? And you can even get even more crazy. So now, apply per tip. There we go. Make sure you have this checked at the top, apply per tip. And now I have these lovely leaves that I'm much more into that I can play with. Let's scatter these some more because I want to just have this fun scene. I'm doing my best to make something cool, guys. Just bear with me. But now we have like these leaves. Whether these leaves are on the text or not, I haven't decided. But I can kind of have them, since the bugs are going to be smaller, I can make this a little bit larger and kind of cover it like that and be a background of sorts, right? You can see it does the obvious. Cool. Let's play with this some more. All right. Work with me here, people. Work with me. I'm going to invert this. There we go. Exclusion. Haha. All right. So make whatever you want. I was just playing around with blend modes because I wanted this to stand out. I wanted to kind of have the structure of the letter, but kind of show the bugs as well. So when I change the bugs to white, bugs are currently, actually, are they white? Let's take a look. Yeah, the bugs are now white, but I said, hey, let's change this to exclusion. So it should revert whatever color is behind it. So now it makes it white where it's black and black where it's white. And now it just kind of stands out a little bit more. And at least that's what I'll go with for now. Okay. All right, cool. So hopefully that makes sense. I still have 5 minutes. We used a little bit of color dynamics for even this background if we want to continue to work on that as well. Right, we can paint this in sort of all we want. And what's nice is changing the color. It's really just like a click away as we add a little bit more yellow in there and a little bit darker colors. I'm just giving this a little bit more depth there. And again, that's all I'm working on. I'm not crazy about this. I'll show you kind of my inspiration, kind of what I worked on outside of today. So again, I was kind of given some time to work on something that might work out okay. Sort of here's kind of the final that I ended up with, like this. So again, you kind of have this metamorphosis made with some brushes, some bugs, some of the pattern, that's a pattern background that I used back there, and then some layer styles on top of that as well. Okay. So, okay, so let's kind of move on. Let's see what other brushes we have, because we could always make this background a different color. Make it blue. There we are. Still does not look good. I know when things don't like this, yeah, this does not look good. So I'm so sorry, everybody. It just does not look good. It just needs help, okay? I'm glad you guys like the newer one that I actually worked on, where I kind of redeemed myself, right? But you get the idea, kind of what I'm doing here. Just to show you a couple of the other brushes, right, that I've given you guys that you could play with. Go into the brushes. We have a number of these other ones. Let's actually turn these off. Let's go to, say, leaves, right? So again, the same concept. It's going to bounce between these two colors, say green and blue in this case. Let's change this a little bit more so it's a little more realistic. Back to that yellow. There we go. We have these leaves. We have butterflies as well, which are all kind of set to random. There we go. See that? And again, the color is not changing, but the size is random here. Okay, so actually what I would do in this case is if I was if I probably spent more time on it, I would be a little bit more strategic about where I place each one of these bugs, right? I would literally go in and I'd take a butterfly, for instance, right? So we have this butterfly right here. Let's make it a little larger. So right now, this brush is going to come in upside down, okay? So what we could do is we could hold down the right or left arrow keys. If you hold down shift, you're basically rotating it around. So I could shift it like so. I want to put it right over here. And then we can go ahead and be aware just like of what layer we're on. And then just hit boom. There we go. So that's kind of what it needs. I think it needs a focus in some parts and maybe not in others. So that's all I'm doing right now, folks. Here's our bug. Let's put the bug right in the center. Same situation. Hit that, 9 times. We'll rotate it back up. Boom, there's our bug. Oh, we don't want it green. We want it black. It's set to random currently. That's okay. There's our bug. You get the idea. Right, we'll put one right up there. You get the idea. Cool, just kind of using them as stamps. So we could throw a little flower up here, and I could always have these on different layers. When you are working with brushes, they are going to be one color per brush tip, just so you know. But I can still obviously make some cool things as we add just a little bit of green in here for parts of this. Cool. Everybody's got it? You got it? Open bracket, close bracket. It's going to change the size. Right, let's put one right down here. Maybe, maybe not. No, let's rotate it some more. Key thing, if you're ever modifying or working with letters, try not to modify the first and last letter. You can mess with the inside letters all you want. Like right here, I'd love to have that butterfly right there. Maybe. Actually, maybe it should be a leaf. But the whole idea for this one is I want the there we go. Basically right at the top, this should be actually the caterpillar. The middle segment is probably the cocoon, which I didn't even give you one. The last one should be like sort of the butterfly. So those are kind of like the three stages that I was working on. But you guys get the idea. Make something cooler than this. Please do. I know you can. I'm just an amateur trying to trying to get paid, trying to do my job. And I know we have some really talented folks here that I'm excited to see your work. So just make what you want, post it to Discord. I'd love to take a look. And a big shout out to everybody who's been participating, because everybody's doing a great job. We did this colorization yesterday, and this was actually with the style transfer, a little bit of that style transfer. It's very cool. The face, that's really interesting. And just to think, by the way, Bryce and everyone, like, this didn't exist before, between today and yesterday. Like, this is something that has been brought into the world and, didn't exist before. So, like, I think art gives you a god complex. You're like, I made this. Same for, is that Mi Amor Luna? Boom, look at that. Getting all creative. Well played, everybody. Well played. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, because we got some hack up next. I don't know what he's thinking, but it's a Photoshop masterclass, this amateur, but probably worth a watch. I'm going to be up next, diving into sort of 2D to 3D. Yes, we're still going to be dealing with flowers and various things, so stay tuned for that, and we will see you guys in a second. So we will be right back. Thanks so much, everybody.